Oh no. What is it? What's what, new? You're up to something. And why would you think that? We're the same person. Don't screw with me. What is it? Nothing at all, just... What are your thoughts on doing a bit of reflection? Reflection's always important, especially as we are now, having just accomplished a long-term goal and put ourselves out in the world for better or worse. Reflection's how we improve even further and make the videos to come the best we can. We've worked hard, and we've come a long way, but the distance is only apparent if we stop and turn around for a bit. What's your point? I think we should treat ourselves too. Let's dive headfirst into something we know will be a good time. Do you want to play fighting games? If the thesis revolves around improvement, it's something competitive, right? No, but write that down. I'm as curious as I am eager, and as much as I'd like to say there's no reason for this feeling, it's more of an urge than anything. An urge to go all the way back and relive something from our foundation through more experienced eyes. There's no fooling me. You just want a dopamine rush. I'm not going to deny it. And hey, the fact that there's at least one game out there that we can always count on to put a smile on our faces means we always have an avenue to get our feet back on the ground. So let's have some fun with it. And let's see just how much has changed. I'm new. I'm Moo. I can't wait. I'm running ahead. Don't trip. And this is Halo 2. This is great! I like the romanticism of going back to your roots. Halo 2 is my first big shooter and still holds a special place in my heart. The series holds a special place in my heart, and so many of the little things that make it up do too. The hum of ghosts, the crack of the battle rifle, the percussion of a single shot from a scorpion tank turning whatever it's pointed at into scrap, the stress of pacing yourself in time with your shields, all the little gameplay additions that scream at the game's generation.
They put a jump in.
Of course. This is a good game. And the questionable AI that comes with the game of that time. The bridge section in Metropolis is what I'm always excited to come back to. And as the opening to one of the best levels in the game, it really holds up. The encounter's not quite as whelming as the spectacle, but it and the Scorpion tank really sell the power fantasy of a one-man army turning the tides. And the Marines that join up with you as you inch closer and closer to the tunnels is an excellent touch. Homeboy's got a rocket launcher if you want to plunder it from him. You can ask nicely, you do not have to. In the case of co-op, there's only one Scorpion, but plenty of Wraiths and Ghosts for the other player to hijack and play around with. Alright, I forgot Wraiths suck in Halo 2. Two varying levels of success, and the vehicle royale at the end of the trek is a sick King of the Hill moment to really cement the power of the tank before we press on foot. Yeah, it definitely holds up. I'd say I'm pretty satisfied with the gameplay, but not quite like I thought I'd be, and I'm loving the story and dialogue. I've always had a pretty fair understanding of Halo, but I guess I've never played it while cognizant enough to really appreciate the things the characters actually say.
When I joined the Corps, we didn't have any fancy schmancy tanks. We had sticks, 2 sticks and a rock for a whole platoon, and we had to share the rock.
2 sticks and a rock for the whole platoon, and we had to share the rock. The guns all feel nice and tactile too, each one with its own special kick to it. I can't get enough of the beam rifle's shriek and the way it cleaves through weaker enemies. It's pretty solid for elites too, and needing 2 headshots for a stronger enemy is honestly more engaging than if it were just a one-shot kill, and gives room for the gun to have more ammo too. And of course, as good as they all feel, not all weapons are created equal. I'm partial to the rhythmic crackling of the battle rifle, for example, but Moo and many others have more specialized tastes. Or is that an energy sword? Be careful.
You mean kill him as quickly as possible so I can get the energy sword?
And even I'll admit that in the moments where you can really put it to use, the energy sword's pretty hard to beat. It's just so cool. But storming the bridge of the Scarab felt pretty easy. Or was that just me? It wasn't just you. Every other time we've played Metropolis, the Scarab boarding has felt like a blender. I'm not sure if it's because we're more experienced, and our instincts had us use the heavier firepower given to us to clear off the deck instead of whittling it away, or if having another hand on deck is the reason we got through it without a hitch. It's not the last one. We always play Halo 2 with another person. Well, maybe we're just that good now. Now that's more realistic. I wonder how the Arbiter stuff is gonna go. It's actually harder. Ooh. Well, I mean, we did crank up the difficulty. Right, but the Arbiter's encounters are generally tougher because they're balanced around you having active camo. These missions don't want you throwing your trigger discipline to the side, they want you to find angles, pick away with your energy sword, and clear out the fodder afterwards. Okay, but I'm not feeling that. Now I'm feeling it. We're gonna have to be a bit more careful and serious. Ugh. But that seriousness is something we can offset with skulls, specifically the fun ones that don't impact gameplay. I mean, if you're playing any Halo game without Grunt Birthday Party on, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's funny and satisfying, but it's also a really good way of naturally encouraging and affirming good aim. And Feather's just funny. Seriously, we turned it on off of a gut feeling, and now I'm basically never gonna play without it. But even the Flood feel pretty easy. Maybe we should have played on Legendary. Are we gonna derive our enjoyment from the challenge we're given? These are still the easier levels, Moo. Sure, but this level is also the turning point, and the most dangerous thing we've had to deal with so far is gravity and a lack of guardrails.
Well, you know.
And this lift section is also, notably, pretty easy. Enemies come in small waves, and never in enough numbers are forced to overpower us. The Sentinels give us a bit of a different challenge on top of it, but they also give us Sentinel beams, which means we'll never run low on ammo, and we'll always have a weapon that's really good for dealing with the Flood. And the energy sword one-shots all of them anyways. But it also one-shots us, so I guess it's fair game. We should probably steer clear of each other when we have our swords out. We could just leave it to him, and use our energy swords to clear out the bodies so they can't be revived later. I do have a better appreciation for the way the bodies present a potential difficulty ceiling for an encounter, and encourages us to be cautious of even a single little straggler. And this section where the Heretics and Flood are fighting does triple duty in showing us the current state of the station we're fighting on, proving the strength of the Flood by having them completely overwhelm the Heretics in the room, and showing us that sometimes it's best to wait on the sidelines and let both of your enemies pick each other apart before finally making the move. It also teaches us that, apparently, cover can be used as a stage hazard. Oh. But it's another survival section that drags on a bit too long, doesn't give us as many enemies as it probably should, and outfits us with more than enough ammo to handle whatever challenge might come our way. Do you want to go to Legendary? I'm having fun. I am too. Then what's the problem? I don't know. It's not like I remember. It's not exactly like you remember, and that's fine. We're basically experiencing this with a whole new perspective. Did we ever expect to be married to the carbine of all things? I mean, it makes sense in hindsight. High magazine size, good precision, solid damage, a great sound, and it's both single shot and rapid fire. I love a good marksman rifle. But I'm still gonna take an energy sword any day of the week. The situation has to call for it for me. When the corners are tight, you're spot on, and now that I have the perception and reflexes to know I can swerve around incoming melee attacks, the sword feels better than I ever remember it feeling. Which shouldn't be possible. But both of those weapons are best when complemented by another. Most of the weapons are. I think Halo games do a really good job of making their weapons feel good in general use despite their clear specializations. How did I never clock this as a kid? This is an amazing set piece. Marvel while you are! And I know you're thinking of asking, and yes, I do think that tension could be even higher if there were a timer to keep pace with. Forcing players to balance their pace and playstyle around juggling safe progression and satisfying a deadline is a great way to make sequences like this more memorable. But the set diversity is amazing, even if the encounters aren't quite as nail-bitingly dangerous as I'd like. Because the image in your head of Halo is fighting through hordes of enemies going cover to cover, and that's not a feeling that gets drilled in until 3 and onward. These are less daunting encounters because Halo games have always been very strategic and precise. Yeah, like the aim assist. Seriously, when iPatch said I'd miss it, I brushed it off. This game is going to be an animal without aim assist once the bullets start flying. And speaking of flying, alright Jetpack Boy, bring on the holograms. Get down from that Phantom and let's dance. I'm not surprised. I am. Okay, fast grenades, take cover. We're gonna have to be careful and try and burst these things. Use your brain for a second. Camo, right. But still, those plasma dualies mince us, so we should probably look for an angle on high ground with cover and... I'm stupid! This is going well, and having never taken the Heretic on at a difficulty that requires tactics, I have to say, this is a really good boss fight for an FPS of its time. It leaves a good impression, one of target prioritization and using active camouflage, Arbiter's unique gimmick, which primes us to be ready to use it the next time we find ourselves in his shoes. Which is Sacred Icon, right? Right. But first we have to go dance with the demon or two. Demon? We're the demon here, Nu. So tuck the energy sword, ditch the light bulb, and come on. This is where things get good. This return isn't quite what I expected, but to say this is anything less than blowing my feelings of Halo 2 out of the water is an understatement. I see the things I could never see as a kid, and I see them in a light that almost blinds me from all the little nitpicks I glanced at along the way. Moo's having a great time too. And I am too. And the fact that we can enjoy this game from 2 different spectrums mean that the big guy's enjoying it too. I just wonder how long that'll last. And there's nothing that scares me more than this detour of ours dragging us down.